but Green Media.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David DeBell, and it's my honor to be the principal of Kingsview Village Junior School and to welcome you here this evening. Thank you very much for your attendance, and I would like to welcome our honored guests to please come up to the front to speak to the audience. The Honorable Mr. Ahmed Hussen, Minister of Immigration. The Honorable Ms. Kirsty Duncan, Minister of Science. And the Honorable Mr. Boris Jasnevsky. Thank you. Our local Member of Parliament. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Satahai. Fian, alhamdulillah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kirsty, and I'm proud to be joined by my dear friend, my dear colleague, the Minister of Immigration, Ahmed Hussen. And before I introduce my other dear friend, Boris, I think it's important that we remember that Ahmed made history. He made history and became the first Somali Canadian elected to the Canadian Parliament. And then my dear friend, my brother, Ahmed made history again. And he became a member of the Canadian Cabinet. I also want to recognize another dear friend. Our ridings are together. My dear friend, Member of Parliament, a wonderful friend to Somalia and to Somali Canadians, Boris Jasnevsky. Yeah. So now, why we've asked you all to come tonight. We're pleased to be here on behalf of our colleague, the Minister of International Development and La Francophonie. Her name is Marie-Claude Bibeau. And what we're announcing today is that Canada will provide an additional $10.4 million in humanitarian assistance to Somalia. Wow. And this funding is going to make a real difference in the lives of communities in Somalia. The assistance will help alleviate suffering through emergency food assistance, better health and nutrition services, water and sanitation, education, and protection for the children. I am going to hand this off now, this wonderful news, to my dear friend Boris. But before I do, to all of you, my dear, beautiful family, Mahat Sinit, Mahat Sinit, Mahat Sinit, and finally, Somalia Hanalato, Canada Hanalato.
Assalamu alaikum, my Somali brothers and sisters. When I look at your celebratory faces this evening, after hearing this wonderful news, it reminds me of the celebratory faces that Ahmed and I saw 2.5 years ago. We were at Centennial Park in the stadium for the Somali soccer tournament finals. And at that time, the two of us went into the stands and we shook everyone's hands. And at that time, I was trying to impress upon, and I see a number of the same people here this evening, the importance, the historical importance of that opportunity to have a Somali-Canadian candidate. Well, tonight, we see why it was so important that all of you stood behind Ahmed, supported him, knocked on doors, got the vote out. Because you now have a voice at the cabinet table. And it's not just a voice. You have someone that carries all of your hopes and dreams for your children here in Canada and for your ancestral homeland and the children and generations to come in Somalia. And it's a tremendous announcement, this $10.4 million. But it comes on the heels of $40 million of humanitarian aid that our government has provided to Somalia this year. Ahmed's presence in cabinet is making a difference. The millions means hundreds of thousands relieved of the suffering of thirst and hunger. It means thousands of Somalis will have their lives saved. A month ago in the House of Commons, I rose in the House just before question period. And I can tell it gets pretty loud in question period. But I rose to talk about a little girl I met in the summer of 2005. And when I spoke about this little girl, it became incredibly quiet in the House, and the members listened carefully. In the summer of 2005, as I was leaving Johor and walking down the dusty main road to the convoy of cars that were waiting, a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, ran up to me. And she took my hand. And I looked down at this little girl in bare feet, and all she had on was a torn little red T-shirt. A little girl with nothing, but a little girl with the most precious, beautiful smile. I took her hand, and the two of us walked down that main street of Johor. I felt as if I was walking with the Queen of Johor. But as I drove away and I watched through the window and I saw her standing by herself in the middle of that dusty road, it hurt. And every time in the years since that I've thought about her, it hurts when I think and wonder, did she ever learn to read and write? It hurts every time I think about her and wonder, did those beautiful black curls turn a reddish brown from malnutrition? And it hurts to even think the thought that perhaps she is no more. Friends, my Somali brothers and sisters, that is why I, Kirsty, and other of our colleagues are so proud to have Ahmed there And this is just the beginning. We will make a difference in Somalia. Somalia waligid hanolata.
Thank you very much, Boris and Kirsty. Thank you to Aftar Minhas, our school trustee in this area, for joining us tonight. I really want to thank David, the principal of this school, and all the volunteers who allowed us to, all the volunteers who helped and stayed behind on a Friday night to make this happen. I apologize for being late. This is a really important announcement. $10.4 million, in addition to the previous announcements that we made for Somalia, for the 119 million, which 21 million went to Somalia, 10.4, the matching fund, everything when you total up, outside of the matching fund alone for this year, the government of Canada has provided $40 million to Somalia. And because of the advocacy of Boris, myself, and Kirsty, we're making sure that this money goes to the right place, that it goes to help people in need, that it goes to help better the health and nutrition services, help with water and sanitation, education and protection for children. The most shocking thing I found out during the famine was that a lot of the people do not die because of lack of food or hunger. They die because they drink bad water. So water, sanitation, and the surrounding issues around that are extremely important. And some of this funding will go specifically to provide water and health services. Secondly, one of the things that Boris touched on, and Kirsty, and I want to really say this to the community, is years before I ran for Parliament, years before I even thought of running and becoming a member of Parliament, these two were your champions. And I'll never forget that. And we should never forget that. They stood shoulder to shoulder with us. Boris, as a member of Parliament, went to Somalia and went when no Western politician visited Somalia. He went against the advice of all the experts who said, don't visit Somalia, it's too dangerous. No one has gone there. He said, no, I will go. So you went and you opened the door. And I remember when he came back, the reports that he gave to the community and the feedback that he gave to the Globe and Mail, to CBC, it really reawakened people's interest in Somalia and re-engagement. So your visit, your single-handed visit, did so much to turn around the perception that people had in Canada about Somalia. Thank you very much. My sister Kirsty, what can I say? Kirsty was there when the mothers sought out help. When the Somali Canadian mothers asked for help, she answered the call. She stood up in Parliament. She presented petitions. You wrote a letter to Vic Tays, which I was working with you on. Statements in the House, keeping that issue alive, and many issues for the community. And again, I always joke by saying, a lot of people say, you're the first Somali Canadian MP. I said, no, that was Boris. I'm the second one, He reminds me, ever since becoming Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship, it's a big portfolio. So I have to deal with visas and so on, but he always reminds me, don't forget about Somalia. And that tells me that as a team, we are always cognizant of the fact that the people of Somalia are resilient. Regardless of the politics, regardless of famine and so on, the people are resilient and they deserve a better future. Yes. And this money will go to ensure that. And one final thing before I go, Boris and Kirsty and I are working very hard. It's very difficult to speak about development and second stage issues when you're facing a famine, when you're facing a humanitarian catastrophe, when you're facing a lack of water and education and protection for children. But make no mistake, we do talk about a future beyond this. And we constantly talk about this in the House of Commons, outside the House of Commons, in Ottawa, in Toronto. Whenever we talk, Somalia always comes up. And we talk about engaging our government to make sure that there is a strategic partnership with Somalia. Whether it is building, I mean, Canada can do so much in terms of normal diplomatic channels. But the biggest link between Canada and Somalia are the great people-to-people ties. And so as you look at that, you look at the people-to-people ties, you look at the strategic importance between the two countries, the relationship and the history, you realize that the potential for growth is even higher. I talked to the Canadian ambassador to Kenya, who's also responsible for Somalia, and she told me that what will really bind Canada and Somalia are the Canadian Somalis who have gone back to Nairobi and to Mogadishu and beyond to give back their expertise and build the relationship between the two countries. You can count on the fact that the three of us will keep championing Somalia and issues related to it, but more importantly, that this is a government that listens, that responds when the call is made, and will always stand shoulder to shoulder with Somalia. waxaan rabay inaan aad iyo aad niigu mahadceliyo inaad caawa timaadeen. Hore baan u sheegay, mar walbana waan kusoo celin doonaa, Boris iyo Christy waa saaxiibaha communitygan. Intaanan aniga xildhibaan noqon, communityga u doodi jireen. Boris wuxuu tegay Soomaaliya 2005, waqti oo siyaasiyiinta reer galbeedka dhan aysan tegi jirin Soomaaliya. Waxaana lagu yiri waagaas ha tegin, wuuna tegay, wax badan bayna bedeshay booqashadiisa u booqday Soomaaliya. Hooyooyinka Soomaaliyeed iyo wiilasha la dilaayo markay bilaabmatay oo hooyooyinka Soomaaliyeed ay qiiroodeen ay u baahnaayeen macaawinaad, waxay u yeerteen Christina way u jawaabtay, way u dagaalantay, baarlamaankii arrinta geysay, khudbado badan bay ka jeedin jirtay, wax walba ay isku dayi karto way samaysay, ilaa haddana arrintaas way ku jirtaa. Marka lacagta hadda lagu dhawaaqay waxay ku saabsan tahay caafimaad, nafaqo, cunto la bixinayo, maxaan ku dhihi lahaa, biyaha iyo waxbarashada iyo ilmaha sidii loo ilaalin lahaa oo looga reebi lahaa ilmaha loo isticmaalayo inay dagaalamaan iyo ilmaha iskuul la'aanta. lacagahaas meeshaas baa lagu bixinaya. Lacagtan waa 10 milyan iyo 400,000 markii la isku daro sanadkan dhan lacagta Canada ay bixisay totalkeeda waa $40 milyan. lacagtaasna waxay ka baxsan tahay lacagtii kale oo dawladda ay matching ku samaysay dadka maaragtay u deeqayo Soomaaliya waagii abaarta ee dhaceysay sanadkan gudihiisa. Marka aad iyo aad baad u mahadsantihiin. Waxaan rabay inaan ku dhameeyo arrintaas. Labadan xildhibaan mar walba arrimaha Soomaaliya way igala hadlaan, waxayna ka dhawaajiyaan inay jeclaan lahaayeen in hadalkeena uu dhaafo, uu ka gudbo abaar iyo waxyaalaha oo degdega ah oo loo gudbo waddankaas sidii loo horumarin lahaa. Dawladdaana diyaar bay u tahay. Waxyaalaha ugu weyn oo xanibaya waxa waaye dawladda Soomaaliya oo safaarad inta ku qabin. Communityga dawladda Soomaaliya ma mateli karaan. Dawladda Soomaaliya waxay u baahan tahay in safiir ay keento oo safaarad ay keento si dawladda Canada iyo dawladda Soomaaliya mucaamalaadka diblomaatiga ay u yeeshaan, because tii dadka way yeesheen oo dad badan oo Soomaaliyeed baa labada wadan u dhaxeeya. Marka arrimahaasna wixii saddexdeena looga baahan yahay waa qabanaynaa, ayagana waa u hadli karaa. haddaa weydiisidna waa xaqiijin doonaa insha Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to invite our school trustee right here in Etobicoke, Aftar Minhas, to come and address the community.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the Somalian community. The Ahmed Hussen is doing some work for in the Ottawa. So we are so proud of him being Christy Duncan and Boris and Ahmed Hussen. They are our 3 candidates in Ottawa, make Etobicoke so great in the parliament. So we are so much proud of Ahmed Hussen because he grew up with us over here in the community. And then we will, like when I was going to the Somali soccer tournaments, So we were together, and when the first thing when he was announced that this portfolio, and I sent him a message that Ahmed, I'm so proud of you, and then I was so happy, and because we have a big portfolios. Christy Duncan, Minister of Science, and Boris, and then the Ahmed Hussen. We are very proud of them to be in Ottawa. Thank you very much.
magaalada Toronto ee dalka Canada ayaa waxaa ka dhacday munaasabad kooban oo ka dhacday iskuulka Kingsview ee ku yaala galbeedka magaalada Toronto gaar ahaan Dixon area waxaa ka soo qayb galay wasiirka socdaalka iyo jinsiyadaha dawladda dalka Canada Ahmed Hussen iyo Christian Duncan oo ah wasiirka sayniska iyo teknolojiyadda dawladda dalka Canada sidoo kale waxaa ka soo qayb galay Boris oo haatan ka hor booqday gobolka Shabeellada Dhexe ee Jowhar Boris ayaa halkaan ka jeediyay khudbad dheer isla markaana ku taxalluuqda xaaladaha dalka Soomaaliya Mudane Ahmed Hussen ayaa haatan halkan iyo Christian Duncan oo wasiirka sayniska iyo teknolojiyadda dawladda Canada waxay halkaan ku yabooxeen deeq gaaraysa 10 milyan iyo 400 kun oo gaaraysa dalka Soomaaliya haddaba waxaan arintaasi ka wareystay Mudane Ahmed Hussen oo wasiirka socdaalka iyo jinsiyadaha dawladda dalka Canada waxaan hadaladiisa ka mid ahaa bismillaahir rahmaanir rahiim dawadaasha qiimaha iyo qadarinta lahaw waxa inoo suura gashay inaan wareysi dhinacyo badan taabanaya aanu la yeesho wasiirka socdaalka iyo jinsiyadaha dawladda dalka Canada Ahmed Hussen isla markaana aan ka wareysan doono deeq ay Soomaaliya ugu dagla gashay dawladda dalka Canada taasoo tirada ay gaarayso 10 milyan iyo 400 kun oo dollar sida loo kala gaarsiinayo iyo sida ay bal dadka Soomaaliyeed oo ay dawladda dalka Canada ugu tala gashay deeq aad u fara badan amba intaan ka badan ay hore u heleen Ahmed ugu horreyn ku soo dhawaad Universal TV
waadhowahay aad baan u mahadsantahay inaad fursadan isiisid su'aasha ay weydiisay waxa ka horeeyo horta lacagtii hore oo sanadkan gudaheeda loo bixiyay abaarta lacagtaasna anaa ku dhawaaqay waxay ahayd 119 milyan 21 milyan ka mid ah 119kaas milyan waxa loogu qoondeeyay Soomaaliya 119 milyan waxay ahayd afar wadan Soomaaliya Yemen Nigeria iyo South Sudan Soomaaliya marka waxa ku aaday 21 milyan 21gaas milyan marka sida loo qaybiyay waxay ahayd 5 hay'adood baa mas'uul looga dhigay oo ah waxa kamid ah Islamic Relief iyo Care Canada iyo adi saddex kale ayagana shuruud waxa looga dhigay hay'adaha localka oo Soomaaliya joogo oo dadka u shaqeynaya inay la shaqeeyaan
lacagtan markii 21 milyan laga reebo waxa imika aad ku dhawaaqdeen 10 milyan 400 kun oo dollar waa lacag badan waxyaabo fara badan bay dawladda dalka Canada Soomaaliya wax ugu qaban kartaa halkee baad marinaysaan
lacagtaas waxay gaaraysaa sidaan ku sheegay hay'ado oo Canadian ah oo la yaqaano oo Soomaaliya ka shaqeeyo oo shirkad la leh hay'ado Soomaaliyeed oo wadanka joogo oo dadka ku xiran labadaas group baa maamulaya lacagtan waxaana loo kala qaybinayaa lacagta in ilmaha wax loo taro gaajada lagula dagaalamo biyaha caafimaadka daawooyinka iyo cuntada waxyaalo noocaas ah
shirar badan aad ka qayb gashay waxa isku kulanteen madaxda dawladda ma ku soo qaaday inay dawladda dalka Soomaaliya ay ka furato safaarad dalka Canada
waa u sheegay ma anigu fikrad ahaan markay i weydiiyaan xiriirka see loo wanaajin karaa waa u sheegay waxaan iri haddii aad xiriirka ratiin inuu sii fiicnaado xiriirka Soomaaliya iyo Canada dawladda Soomaaliya waxa fiican lahayd hadday safaarad ka furtaan Canada sababtoo ah xiriirkay xoojinaysaa safiir baa imaanayo waxyaalo badan baa markaas dhalan lahaa
aad u mahadsantahay mahad Carabo Ali telefishinka Universal magaalada Toronto ee dalka Canada